Howdy Earthlings! It's Friday night. I don't have to work in the morning, so it's time for a star party. It's been a while, and I am really glad to see y'all. I'm Deanna Rose, your resident night sky fangirl, and I have a special treat for y'all tonight. I finally got my pre-ordered ZWO SeeStar S30, which is their tiny, tiny little smart telescope. It is relatively inexpensive. It is $349, and compare that to $499 for the S50. Both are a great deal. Definitely worth the investment. So as you can see up on my screen now, I have the S50, which is my first smart telescope. But we are going to pop over to this screen. Excuse me. So as you can see, on one side we have the S50, and on the other side we have the S30. My screen is mirrored, so I have to pay attention to which one I'm pointing to. So the S50 is the original smart telescope from ZWO. I have the specs up here. It has an IMX 462 sensor with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. It's got a 50 millimeter aperture with a focal ratio of f5. Now the S30 has a focal ratio of f5 as well, but the aperture is 30 millimeters. It does have two cameras on front. It's really cute. The telephoto lens is 1080 by 1920, and the wide angle lens is, oh, I'm sorry, flip it around. Yeah, 1080 by 1920, and the wide angle is 1920 by 1080. So the S30 has built-in storage of 64 gigs, same as the S50. They both have Wi-Fi. They both have USB-C chargers. The S30, it's showing it doesn't have Bluetooth. It does have 5G and 2. Oh, that's the different Wi-Fi channels. They're both alt-azimuth. The S50 they both have the slew rate of one times through 1440 times. There isn't really much difference, except the S30 does have a better sensor in it. It does have the IMX 662 with a specific sensor for the wide angle lens. The only real difference is the size and the native field of view, which you'll see here in a moment. So I'm going to start out on my S50, and I was looking at the Orion Nebula earlier. As you can see, it is in a decent spot in the sky. So we're going to locate the target position on that and on that. Now, the other difference, you can see that my screen that the S30 is on is much smaller. That's because that is on an Android tablet, whereas the S50 is connected to an iPad. So, of course, it's going to be just a little bit different there. But you can see with the native field of view, for example, with the Orion Nebula, we are getting a little bit more information in the field of view here on the S30. We can change that with framing and do mosaic mode on both. They both use the exact same app, and you can choose which telescope you're going to connect to it. So I'm going to go ahead and set these to going, and we'll take a look and see what's going on with both of them. Now we do have, as you probably saw at the front, Neither of them are sitting on the charger tonight. Usually the S50 is hooked up to an extension cord so I can leave it run all night. I'm not going to be up all night like I normally would because I do have Skywarn training in the morning with my buddy Chris. So we'll be heading out to the University of Texas and we will be learning how to manage emergency scenarios and also do some storm spotting and prepare for weather emergencies. So we'll probably only be at this for about half an hour to an hour tonight tops. All right, so I did go ahead and get them calibrated earlier. So as you can see, on the S50, it still does the wonky thing where it waits until it gets the first couple of frames captured before it pops up. But as you can see, we do have a bit of a wider field of view on the S30. So it is backed up a little bit, so that's why it looks smaller in the screen, but we are picking up quite a bit. It did, again, same app, so it did automatically turn on the light pollution filter for the nebula. We got stacking failed on one, but not on the other. Why are we not showing? We're not showing any captured frames yet on the iPad. Now, they both come with the light pollution filter, so that it's got the light pollution filter built in. Dew heater built in on both of them. They both come with the solar filters. They both come with a tripod. Now, the tripod for the S30 is going to be a lot smaller and kind of cheap, to be honest. But you can get an adapter for the mount, and you can put it on a regular tripod if you want. I'm probably going to be doing that next time I pull this guy out. But we're still not capturing any frames for the S50 for some reason. Oh, there we go. We got our first frame. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. But as you can see from the positioning, if you look a little higher up here, you can see those stars, part of the star cluster around the nebula. Those same stars up here are a little lower in the screen, so you can tell the difference in the field of view, the native field of view here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the AID noise on these, so you can kind of get an idea of the difference between the two. But I've been using the SeeStar S30 since last summer. The S30 is still on pre-order. It does take a while to get here. I did pre-order it back in December, and I just got it this week on Monday. So they're having to deal with a backup of orders on the S30. It's really popular right out of the gate because, of course, it's made by ZWO, and ZWO is a big name in astrophotography, and they knew what they were doing when they made these telescopes. I got to tell you, it's been a huge game changer. And you can see now, looking at both of these screens, this is without any tweaking. Normally, I leave the brightness alone, but I'll tweak the contrast and the saturation levels. But this is what we get natively from the AID noise. So you can definitely see some differences in color. The S30, like I said, does have the better sensor in it. So you're probably going to see a little bit of a difference in the color just from that. But the S50, you can see a lot of detail just because we do have a more narrow field of view. You won't see that if you go into framing mode and you get a larger field of view and it does the mosaic, unless you let it sit for a really long time, which this time of year, as you saw earlier, it's probably the the Orion Nebula is probably going to be setting around 4 o'clock in the morning, so it takes a while to get all of that. But just for grins and giggles, I'm going to change the contrast a little bit on this, as well as the saturation. And then I will do the exact same on the S30. Which I absolutely dislike using my Android tablet, but this is why I got it. So using the exact same settings, you can see that we're still able to get some really great detail using the AI denoise. I'm going to save those. Now I also did Bode's Galaxy earlier, and because of the native field of view on the S30, I was able to get like a little partial of another messier object on there. We're going to pop back out. And there we go. That's what they look like before we start recording. So again, we do have a larger field of view on the S30. On the S50, a little bit more close up, so we're going to get a bigger image, but that can be corrected using the framing mode. Now we are going to go back to the star map, star atlas. Come on, you can do it. I hate androids. So let's see if the Pleiades is up. It is. We're going to pop over to the Pleiades. Come on. There we go. And we'll check out the differences between the two. I am enjoying an adult beverage this evening because it is Friday night. And man, has it been a week. It's been a couple of weeks, man, with the weather. We had that cold snap last week, and it was horrible to deal with. Now, you can see right here the difference with the field of view for both of them. Of course, it's already popped up, but you can definitely see the difference with the Pleiades here. Of course, we're not getting the whole thing on either one of them. I'd have to do framing view, and that would end up looking similar. So again, the S50 is their original smart telescope. The S30 is the new one. It can be ordered wherever you like to get your telescopes at, High Point or a local camera store if you want. But I ordered directly from the ZWO website. They don't charge you shipping for orders of this price range, which, like I said, the S30 comes in at $349. The S50 comes in at $499. And they are both worth the money. So now that we've got a couple of frames captured, we'll do the AI denoise. And we'll get to see a difference in the native field of view again. That's the S50 that just popped up on this side. And then the S30 is finishing up. It's taking a little bit longer than it would on the S30. Checking. And my cat is yelling at me. Now that native field of view is most likely due to the aperture. Again, the S30 is a 30 millimeter aperture, whereas the S50 is a 50 millimeter aperture, which is probably how they got the names. So you can definitely see the difference here between the S50 and the S30. Again, same great quality that you expect from ZWO. Just because of the aperture size, we get a larger field of view on the S30. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tweak these guys. And I generally do the same tweak when I do the AID noise. And that is to leave the brightness alone. I do want the brightness of the stars. But I do change the contrast +10 and the saturation +10. So I'm going to do the same over here on the Android tablet, which I absolutely dislike. And that's 9. And that's 10. So those are the images that we get between the S50 and the S30. Both of them AID noise and a little bit of enhancement. And same as you can on the S50, on the S30, you can go ahead and you can change those before you start taking pictures as well. Now, one thing I have not checked, see if I can remember how to do this. Let's stop that. Stop it. Stop it. I want to go back to the objects list because, as you probably know, I created a favorites list on my S50 for when I do my exoplanet transit data. So I'm going to see if that's available on the S30 as well, if it stays in the app or if it's something that yep, it transferred over. So yeah, we can absolutely see all of the same data. So yay! I don't have to choose between collecting data and astrophotography anymore. I can do both at the same time. That makes me really happy because I really love getting the pictures. So I'm going to do one more. We're going to do a cluster this time, just to see how it comes out. Oh, the Pleiades was a cluster. Derp. Derp. Let's do a galaxy. Let's see what is... Stop it. Let's see what we have currently up. I did Bode's Galaxy earlier. Surfboard. Vacuum cleaner. Oh, craptastic. Ooh, the Triangulum Galaxy. I do enjoy the Triangulum. So, let's find that over here. So, as you can see, the difference between the two. We are going to capture more of it natively on the S30, whereas it's a tight fit on the S50, S30. Let's go. Now, what we've been looking at tonight, of course, Messier objects. Messier Marathon is coming up. The primary weekend is March 29th and 30th. Secondary weekend is actually the weekend before. So, March 29th and 30th, Messier Marathon. If you do it right, you should be able to see all 110 Messier objects in one night. So, heyo, do I have trees in the way? I might have trees in the way. which is weird because they're right next to each other. We shall see how it comes up. But I digress. Messier Marathon, March 29th. I'm going to have both of the screens up. I am going to be attempting to capture all 110 objects in one night. And I will be live streaming it the entire time. So look for that link to show up on the YouTube channel page. We'll also have a new moon that night, so it'll be a little bit easier to... What the heck is going on with that? Yeah, it's on the other side of my screen. That is weird, because the two telescopes are right next to each other. And it's capturing... What the heck? I wonder if there's a critter out there messing with my telescope. Oh, you know what? It might be clouds. It might be clouds, because the clouds are starting to roll in tonight, which is another reason I won't be going all night. We're expecting to have some cloud cover throughout the evening because our weather is still wonky. It's technically winter here in Texas, although it did get up to 76 degrees here today. So don't know why it's doing that. Is it clearing it up, or is it getting rid of it? That is just weird. What happens if I AI denoise that? We shall see. So yeah, Messier Marathon, March 29th and 30th. I'll be live streaming the whole thing. I'm going to be attempting to get all 110 Messier objects. It'll be a new moon, so it'll be a little bit darker out. Yeah, that is super weird. I don't know what that is. Also, I released a new video shortly before the live stream started. My Beyond Stargazing series. I just went live with my video on astrobiology, so I was privileged enough to get to talk to Dr. Rachel Harris, who works with NASA. So I highly recommend checking it out. And also the previous month on radio astronomy. And I am already working on the video for March. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that series. I am going to back out of this. And just so that you can see, we have our settings here, our normal settings. Of course, we've got the, it's the exact same app. The only difference is, right now, is the tablet, the Android tablet that the S30 is connected to, is not connected to the internet right now. I was unable to get the, station mode working. Station mode, I haven't played with it much since I opened it on Monday when I received it, but no internet on there just yet because it is connecting to the Wi-Fi on the telescope. Again, exact same settings for the most part. There we go. So you can see the difference between the two. When station mode is on, you get all your weather stuff here, your news articles. And if you guys have been watching the stars with your telescopes, whether it's a SeeStar or a traditional telescope or something else. I would love to hear about it. Post about it in the comments below. But that is going to actually be that for me tonight, because I have to be up at stupid o'clock for that Skywarn training. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me. Y'all have a great evening.